Hello and welcome to the British English Podcast with your host, Charlie Baxter, the show that helps you better understand British culture and British English. And today we're going to be looking at movies, particularly British movies, but because, well, really, it's a great way to better understand the Brits, the culture behind it. And that's where our guest comes in. And our guest is called Cara. And Cara has a movie club, but we'll get more into it later on the conversation. So, Cara, hello and welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, Charlie. Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks.
Excellent. First things first, I need to ask, where are we calling from? Where are you in the world right now?
That's a good question. I want to say from a secret location in the east of France. It's not that secret, it's just that no one knows where it is, even people in France. So I'm in the city of Besançon, which is like an hour from the Swiss border to the east. So very handy for Switzerland, handy for Germany as well. I'm like 2 hours from the Black Forest part of Germany, southwest Germany.
Yeah.
And then an hour in the other direction going west, you're in Dijon. Or Mustard Town, as I like to call it. Mustard Town, yeah. And then an hour and a half into Switzerland, you're in Lausanne, which is Olympic Town.
Okay.
People still might need a map to understand all that, but that's where we are.
And is there a phrase about mustard? You can never have enough mustard. Is that a thing? Is that a phrase? Is that just an Alan Partridge thing?
It could be, yeah. I'm just thinking of the musical Oliver.
Oh, what do they say in that?
There's this, they sing us, because they're like fantasizing about food because they're starving orphans. Gosh. These poor orphans, so they're singing this song about hot sausage and mustard is one of their fantasy foods.
Yeah,
but obviously in the orphanage they get like gruel, whatever that is.
Great word.
Some disgusting mix. Yeah, great word, isn't it? But you wouldn't want to eat it. If somebody invites you around for dinner and they offer you gruel, then run. Make your excuses and leave.
Absolutely, yeah. So gruel, I'd picture it as like a worse version of porridge mixed in with some other stuff that you don't want to eat.
I wanted to say porridge, but at the same time, I really like eating porridge, and so I won't have porridge, insulted in front of me. So I'm a bit sensitive to that. Big fan of oats in general.
Yeah.
So
yeah, fair. Yeah, I don't want to tarnish oats with that kind of association of gruel. I'm imagining, you're in prison and a prison guard opens the flap in the door and just shoves a tin of gruel on the floor of the prison cell.
Is that maybe not nowadays? It's making me think of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
At various points in the series, people were imprisoned, and they weren't fed very well, and it probably did come through a flap, as you say. You're not even allowed out of your cell to eat. It's just chucked in front of you.
You're near Dijon. Have you been to Dijon to taste the mustard?
To taste the mustard. I have been there, not that many times, to be honest. And right at the moment, we got this really nice hamper of local foods from my partner's work at Christmas. And one of the things in there was Dijon mustard. And because the thing is, and this is quite sad, there was no Dijon mustard anymore. Basically, there was a factory and then they closed the factory, capitalism.
Really?
You make more money closing the factory than keeping it in Dijon. So there was a time where nobody was actually making mustard in Dijon, and somebody has started making artisanal mustard again, actually in Dijon. And so this mustard that we got at Christmas, I think it's actually made in Dijon.
Wow. So it's been a rarity for a while. Has that put up the price of Dijon?
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't. Well, I mean, this was a gift, so I don't know how much it cost. But yeah, it might. I guess it's more expensive to buy local food, and I have no idea where they were making the mustard. I mean, because a lot of mustard says Dijon on it, but it wasn't actually made there. So I don't really know how that works.
Yeah,
But
maybe a bit like Foster's, Australian made, brewed in Scotland or Glasgow.
oh, really?
I think it's brewed in Glasgow. And I'm in Australia at the moment, and they don't drink it. I mean, it's hit. I don't think I've seen it actually. This episode comes with a free worksheet over on the website, thebritishenglishpodcast.com. So grab that and you can listen along whilst using it.
Okay, it's just to make British people think that they are drinking something authentically Australian.
Yeah.
Or something. How weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you're near Dijon, but so why are you in France?
You're in France. What is this, an interrogation? Well, I studied French at university, and when I was about 20, I decided that I wanted to go and live in France, like for real, find a job and stay for a while. So I've been working on that, basically. It's been my life's mission.
Oh, wow.
Since then. I'm about to turn 36. So I moved to France when I was 22.
Right.
To Besançon, and to teach English, which I was really interested in doing. So it's all been a bit of an adventure since then.
That's great.
Because I'm still here. Yeah. So life mission. Well, I suppose mostly accomplished. Well, at least that part. Moved to France, live.
Yeah. Well,
don't get kicked out of the country because of Brexit. Working on that at the moment.
Yeah. Is that hard?
Yeah. I just had to go and get a residence permit, and it's actually more straightforward than like a typical residence permit, because they kind of just see it as like we're just extending the rights that you used to have before the UK left the EU.
Interesting.
The other thing I'm trying to do is get French nationality. That's harder, and that's not guaranteed. But at the very least, I'll have my residence permit, so nobody can kick me out. So that's good.
That would be good. Yeah, a load off your mind. So do you want to essentially become fully French and let go of your British passport?
Well, they recognise double nationality.
Okay.
That's not a problem, and I wouldn't have done it were it not for Brexit. But because I was like, well, if I get French nationality, then that gives me a European passport. Because the British passport, it used to be more valuable and useful for like living in Europe and going and living where you wanted in Europe, and now it's not. So you need another. you need something else. You need another passport. That's the way I see it. It's kind of just reestablishing that ability to live and work wherever you want in Europe. And okay, I've only lived in France, but who knows? You might decide to go live somewhere else, and it's nice to have that option.
Definitely. Yeah, I was about to say the world's your oyster, but now that Brexit's happened, it's really not. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hope that that all works out. But I want to actually focus on the movie stuff that you work on, because we'll come to your personal life maybe after this conversation. But I think it's necessary to get to the crux of the meeting, the main point. So you've been teaching English. You've understood, different cultures is a big part of learning a new language. So you've set up a movie club to help English learners. Is that right?
Yeah. That's something that actually emerged out of the pandemic. Well, I've been playing around with teaching listening skills through movies for a while, and teaching listening more generally, because I do think it's something you can teach and learn how to do better. Like, there's more to it than just listening to stuff. So I've been doing that, and then I kind of had noticed that I had done some free movie clubs, and I'd also worked with at least one student on her speaking with movies, and I was like, oh yeah, this is interesting. Let's see where we can go with this. And then I sort of started a longer version literally last March. Slightly weird timing, but also kind of good in a way. And so we started doing kind of a 1 month club where we really take the time. I think this is the big thing with watching movies in another language. You have to give yourself time to understand them. And when we sort of sit down and just watch something once, especially when it's not in our native language, it's normal to not really get much or kind of understand much.
Yeah, a lot goes over the head if you're just watching it the first time and it's not your culture, definitely.
Exactly. So we really take our time. We give ourselves a month. And part of that is preparing for watching the movie, then actually watching it. I would say the students usually end up watching it more than once.
Right.
I mean, I'm not so strict about that with myself, because we do a watch party. So we watch it together and we discuss it on WhatsApp. Yeah, that is a bit easier for the students if they've already watched it at least once before, because we're kind of mostly texting each other like silly comments, really.
That's nice.
But yeah, it's fun, but it does sort of distract you slightly from the movie, but it's fun. It's almost like watching it together, as you would do with friends and sort of laughing about.
And I'd say that's quite necessary to get through the pandemic, to have a release like that, to have a group of friends that you can interact with and learn at the same time with. That's really nice. And I think you said that you had recently watched some British movies that caught your attention and you thought it might be worth exploring with me.
Yeah, well, because I'm not like I get the students suggest movies that they're interested in, and then we all kind of agree to watch things. Nobody's imposing anything. And we ended up watching quite a few British ones. It wasn't necessarily deliberate. It was just kind of how things worked out, I guess. So we watched Love Actually last Christmas, and I saw that on the TV like a few days ago, like French TV. Like, why are they showing Love Actually in the summer? Never mind. And
yeah, there were. Well, hang on. So Love Actually, yeah, very much a Christmas feel-good film. And I just wrote a list of movies that I'd like to briefly talk about if we had time. And yeah, Love Actually was on there. Why did you choose it, and why do you think it's a good one for British culture?
Well, we needed a Christmas movie, and I think one of the other students had brought it up, but at least one also intensely dislikes this movie. But then that was also quite good for discussion, because she was able to say why she didn't like it. But yeah, it's a good. Well, there is a lot about British culture in it. Thank goodness that I saw it on TV last week, so I can remember some of the things. No, because you get to see there's like references to British culture in it, and there's things like you see the Prime Minister features a lot. You see things like the nativity play at school.
Yeah.
That's a very British thing. In fact, I got the students to list all the stuff that came up. There's carol singing. So
what's that?
Good question, because I don't know if anyone has ever come round to my house to sing carols, but yeah, it's something you can do if you're not afraid of bothering other people. You at Christmas, you go round to people's houses, you knock on the door, and you sing carols and Christmas carols. So these are traditional songs, sometimes often kind of religious, but not always. And then I guess, do you ask for money? Is that it? Do you do it for charity or something?
I think they have a little charity sort of tin that they shake at the end, maybe, or the little kid at they ask you for a little bit of a donation.
50p.
Yeah, 50p. Yeah, that's not too much.
Something like that. Yeah. So there was the carol singing, the nativity play. So you've probably been in one at school. I was in one at school.
Were you
so you tell the story.
Sorry, were you a big part in your nativity plays?
So I wanted to be an angel, and I was given the job of reader. So I was like narrating part of the story.
Isn't that weird? I was a narrator as well.
Oh, yeah. Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
1 year. And then I got demoted and I was at the back, and I was so hot and flustered. I remember I fainted on stage.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, was this like this would have been pre-smartphone and cameras everywhere, right? So nobody would have filmed you.
No. Yeah, lucky. Yeah.
Because that would have been embarrassing. Like,
yeah, that was just to have the video. SMS sort of lol, he fell over kind of thing.
Oh gosh, poor you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, yeah, I can't remember it that much, but yeah, the narrating, that's funny that we both did that. So you were on the side of the stage. You weren't in the spotlight. You were just.
not exactly to the side, and Mary and Joseph arrived in Bethlehem on their you're like,
So are you narrating or are you
in this.
singing? Because it sounds like you're confused whether you're in front of a
I'm
front
half
door.
singing, half. I'm trying to imagine, like, in my sort of 6-year-old voice. I don't really know how I did it, but for some reason in our primary school, it was only the children in the second year of primary who did the nativity.
Oh,
So the 6-year-olds. I have no idea why it was always given to them.
right. Okay. Yeah. I think I remember doing multiple years. I'd like to remind you that if you are listening to this message, then you are not taking full advantage of the British English podcast, as we have the Academy, which is where I pour my blood, sweat and tears into every single episode. I go into further detail, giving you more content to enjoy, and then deliver manually edited transcripts, video explanations of the advanced expressions used in the episode, pronunciation practice, quizzes, assignments, flashcards, glossaries for all the definitions, etc., etc. So if you wanted to come away using the advanced language I'm exposing you to in each episode with confidence, then I highly recommend you join the Academy. To do that, you can head over to the BritishEnglishPodcast.com, and you'll even be able to get a sample of the Academy completely free. Okay, yeah, so we've got the nativity plays, yeah. I also feel like it was just filmed in very like authentic settings in a lot of the places. And I'm not talking necessarily about the 10 Downing Street, sorry. Nearly forgot where the Prime Minister lives. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about just the homes and the outdoors and just the small little things that they would use. That just felt very, very English. Like if you just give me a second of that frame, I could tell you that that's an English home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very, very true. Yeah, like when the Prime Minister is looking for Natalie's house, and it's a row of terraced houses, so that's so typical. And then some people live in posher houses in Love Actually, so you can kind of see that as well. But it's very true. For some reason, I want to say when the guy who's like a sort of aging rock star goes to the radio station for an interview, for me, that felt very, I don't know, growing up, I listened a lot to like Radio 1 and the radio, and I don't know, for me, that felt quite authentic as well.
Yeah, I agree. And that relationship, I really enjoyed that with the was he his manager? The old slightly larger guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his manager. Yeah, that was quite sweet at the end. Well, all of them developed into loving relationships, didn't they? So Love Actually, that had really natural settings, and the nativity play and the carols as well. And of course, the very natural British scene of a porn industry. You know, when that guy was warming his hands for her bosoms. Very normal, isn't it, in England?
Were they doing... Okay, because I was kind of like, are they meant to be doing like test scenes for a porno?
Yes. Well, I shouldn't say porno. I think it was just a film that had soft erotica in it.
A sex scene, yeah.
And they were just doing lighting. Yeah, they were doing lighting, and they had to get the right angle for everything.
They were very professional.
Yeah.
Well done. But Love Actually, it's a very nice immersion in a British Christmas. And I haven't actually been home for Christmas for 2 years, so it's nice to kind of have the movie kind of reminds you of what it's like in the UK at Christmas, because I feel like it is very Christmassy, and in France it's not quite the same. Like, okay, you do have decorations, you do have Christmas trees, but it's not quite as intense as the UK. I don't know, I think we really go kind of all out for Christmas. We really like to make an effort.
I think so too. No, I really do agree. I can't compare with France because I haven't lived there and I haven't been there during Christmas. But, I lived in America and I felt like they do everything over the top, and like they love their costumes and every single holiday is really, really extreme compared to the UK. But thinking about it, Christmas is one that we are very comfortable doing at the over the top, as you said. We really go all out, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Compared to from what I've seen, and one of my students is Italian, but she lives in the UK, and yeah, she really loves the whole British Christmas thing. It is quite different to Italy, but that's a nice way into that type of discussion. Actually, if you've watched Love Actually and you think about a British Christmas, then it's a way also for people from different cultures to compare their own Christmas, because in many countries, they don't celebrate on the 25th of December; they celebrate in January. There's more of a focus on the three wise men compared to Santa Claus. I mean, it depends on the country and the culture. It can vary quite a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
the three wise men
yeah.
don't really get a mention these days for us, do they?
Not so much. Whereas in Spain, I think they teach kids like that's who brings you the presents.
Right. So when we're sitting round the bed opening Santa's presents and we open them and then we say, "Thanks, Santa," would they say, "Thanks, the three wise men"?
I guess, yeah. Something like
Yeah.
this. Yeah, that's what I've understood.
And if they say, "Thank you, Daddy," and Daddy's like, "No, thank the three wise men."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's yeah.
Another one that I felt like was a really authentic British feel was Notting Hill, and I weirdly watched it yesterday.
Oh, how odd. That's another one that's on French TV quite often. Well, any film with Hugh Grant. We've seen so many movies with Hugh Grant, including ones where I did not know he was in it. He really was in a lot of movies, particularly the early 90s.
He was, yeah. And then he took a break. And sorry, I just wanted to say he took a break. And he's a member at a golf club that I used to work at. And I used to serve coffee to him. But I did a bad job, and I think I got fired eventually. But I served him cold coffee, which was my claim to fame. And he wasn't happy about that.
Oh, wow. So, okay, your claim to fame is that you pissed off Hugh Grant.
Yeah. So he took
Wow.
a while to recover from that, and then I guess he got over it, and then he did a very good performance in The Gentleman recently, didn't he?
I haven't seen it, but I actually think that he is a sort of misunderstood person. I know my mum is quite insulting towards him because she's like, oh, he just plays the same character all the time. But I actually think he has a real sense of comic timing.
Yeah.
He's done more serious roles, and as he's gotten older, I think he doesn't take himself too seriously. Actually, I think he knows that maybe part of his career is a bit of a joke. Oh no, this is getting awfully slanderous, isn't it? Like, you served him cold coffee, I'm insulting his career. Are Hugh Grant's people gonna like?
Well, luckily for us, Hugh Grant is pretty fluent in English, so he might not be focused on this podcast. The Gentleman will put your mum to shame because he was so
Really?
different. He was far from the posh, well-behaved or slightly self-deprecating gentleman, sort of in a charming way. He was really odd, a unique character in The Gentleman. It was kind of like a gangster film, but yeah, I he was so different. I had to ask whoever I was watching it with, is that Hugh Grant? Like, after 3 minutes of watching him play that role. Very diverse for that fact. Yeah.
Because we saw him recently we watched, our movie this month is The Remains of the Day, which is a movie with Anthony Hopkins and Emma Thompson, and it's based on the novel of the same name, and it takes place in a British country house in the 1930s and then the 1950s, and it's about a butler who's very devoted to his master.
Okay.
But his master turns out to be a Nazi sympathizer.
Oh, no.
So yeah. And Hugh Grant plays the godson of this lord. Yeah, and he's really good. And he realizes that his godfather is being sort of manipulated, and what he's doing is not right, and he just tried to sort of stop him, but it doesn't work, unfortunately. But so it's a fairly small role, but yeah. he's good. And that would have been before this sort of huge stardom of like Four Weddings and a Funeral and Notting Hill that we mentioned.
Yeah, that's another good film, Four Weddings and a Funeral. I feel like Love Actually, Notting Hill and Four Weddings and a Funeral are all the same sort of rom-commy British 90s noughties feel. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. And I was going to say Four Weddings and a Funeral is like good preparation for what will probably actually happen to you if you are invited to a wedding in the UK. Like, it'll give you, you'll know what to kind of expect if that happens.
Yeah,
to you.
those conversations in a wedding, I would imagine that they're quite unique in the way of being British. Quite, you got to be quite proper. You got to have good small talk, but also be interesting at the same time. And it's probably a circle of 6 or 7 people that you're stuck with that are strangers probably for the most part of the day.
Weddings and seating plans and who you end up next to. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. That's always a good laugh at weddings, seeing who's been seated next to who.
Yeah.
And seeing where you've been, where your place is, like in the family or the friendship group. Who are you considered? Are you considered one of the older generation? Are you considered like, have they grouped you according to like who's kind of friendly or not? This is just interesting for me because my family is quite big. I've got 23 first cousins. So, I mean, often we don't all get invited to weddings because it's expensive to have, people tend to prioritize like their immediate family and everything. Like it's hard to invite all the cousins.
Yeah, 23.
And then when you do get invited,
wow.
It's a lot, isn't it? And then those cousins, a lot of them have kids. So then, it's just a lot of people, basically.
That could be about $2,500 just to feed you.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why you don't always get invited. The last wedding I went to at home, I wasn't invited to the wedding. And then somebody else dropped out or something. And we were actually prioritized by age.
That's good. That's fair.
Given my... Yeah, I thought that was a very fair way to do it. Thank you to my cousin for doing that. And we were like next
in line to the throne.
Next, exactly. So upgraded to actual ceremony and meal and not just the party after. So, which was good because that meant exactly, but which was good because it meant we could actually travel there with my parents because it was a little bit outside of Glasgow. Loch Lomond, which is a very popular wedding destination for people in Glasgow, but it's quite a long taxi ride. So it is quite good if you can get more people in the taxi, make it a bit cheaper kind of thing.
Yeah, every little helps, definitely. So, if you wanted to listen to the full conversation, you can easily become a premium podcast member and get access to all parts of this conversation and all conversations that have ever taken place on this show. So that would be, as of this recording, about 48 extra listening sections that you haven't been able to get. And I'm going to estimate that is over 8 hours of non-stop listening practice. And did I mention, these all come with manually edited transcripts and extended glossaries. And thinking about the glossaries, I reckon we've got over 2,000 native expressions explained specifically for non-native learners in there now. And the membership is as cheap as chips. So what are you waiting for? Go over, support this podcast and get a huge amount back with the premium podcast membership. And then, of course, we have the Academy, where I make exclusive videos, audios, pronunciation files, interactive quizzes, and much, much more to get you confident with the language I'm exposing you to in these episodes. And then, to top it all off, we have weekly speaking classes to get you practicing the language yourself and to ensure you're using the phrases properly. And as the classes have been going since April 2021, I'm now able to share some testimonials of those who have been involved in the Academy for some time now. And here is what one student from Thailand has to say about her experience.
I came across Charlie's podcast not so long ago. I got a test for the premium program first. And before I knew it, I have been joining his academy program without any regret because the program has broadened my horizons to better understand British culture and improve British English fluency. It's packed with tons of interesting contents, new vocabularies, expressions, and fun quizzes to help you remember and interact with vocabularies and phrases in a strategic way. You will never get tired of challenging yourself in taking the quizzes, practicing your pronunciation, and participating in group chat with Charlie and other amazing participants who are passionate about studying English like yourself. So, I highly recommend all the students who are interested in learning British English and wish to get a good grip on British culture in the most fun and effective way.
Thank you so much, Katami, for that. And guys, I promise no cash was exchanged for that testimonial. So you heard the woman. If you want to join a bunch of passionate learners and want to get a good grip on British culture in the most fun and effective way, then head over to thebritishenglishpodcast.com and join the Academy. So that was Cara, everybody, from Leo Listening, who has made a movie club that I encourage you to go and check out. I'll also include those freebies that she's mentioned. But yeah, thank you so much, Cara, for coming on the show. I hope that we can, again, have a conversation about cultural aspects of life, maybe digging into the differences between French things that you've noticed and British things in the future. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for sticking around until the end. And I hope that you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you soon on the British English Podcast.